Welcome to 2020 Coaching Convos podcast. And you've joined me on a bonus and standalone. In fact, I think I'm going to call it a standout episode. This is a recording that I wanted to do with my guest during series 3, but on reflection, we decided that it's a kind of one of a kind. And I know it's going to be of particular interest to practitioners of all services. So we are going to focus on coaching. So listening, qualified and trainee coaches. I guess it's an extension, if you like, to the Passionately Curious series. So it is about what fires this particular guest up and what keeps them learning and exploring. And that thing is online marketing. So listen out here for learnings about the passions of my guest this week so that you can apply them to your own business. Let me introduce you to someone who trained as a coach and who was drawn back to her interest roots of the creative industry. So welcome, Katie Groombridge.
Hey, how are you?
I'm very good, thank you, Katie. It's really nice to see you today. How are you doing?
Yeah, not too bad actually. Quite excited about this. I'm kind of starting on a new journey after sort of coming out of coaching and going, I don't know if I want to be a coach, but I really love the coaching industry. So, that's kind of why I'm here.
Perfect. That sounds grand. And so thanks so much for agreeing to record this kind of exceptional episode of 2020 Coaching Convos, Katie. We've called this Getting Started with Online Marketing, and we've got about 20 minutes to get stuck into the topic. So, Katie, tell us how you became involved in this, essentially the story of how it all kind of started for you.
So probably started way back when actually, when I was probably in my 20s. So I studied graphic design and actually didn't end up going into graphic design. And I've kind of flitted about from job to job, doing various different creative things. And then I decided I wanted to study coaching. And I've always been into like self-development and things like that. So you and I obviously met on the NLP coaching course, which I found really interesting. The way the mind works is amazing, and the things that we can do with NLP, to get the mind going, really, really interests me. But I got to the end of the course and I was like, I don't think I want to do this. And I was sort of struggling with what do I want to do? Where do I want to be? I always come back to being creative. I've spent most of my life coming up with creative ideas, starting stuff, but never really sort of finishing it, being too scared. And I was like, how can I help people in the same situation? Just get started, find a bit of confidence and take down some of those barriers. And what am I good at? So it comes down to this. I just want to help people get started. Now, I can take down the barrier of, finding your niche, getting started online. For a lot of people, that's a bit scary. How do we use social media? What do I need from a website? There's so many questions. And actually, sometimes all it takes is just to sit down, talk about it, get clear on what you want to do. It can be really simple. It doesn't have to be complicated. And then just get going. You can change it later, right? It doesn't have to be set in stone forever.
That's brilliant. I love your honesty, Katie, with yourself when you recognized coaching's not the thing I want to do. Creativity is my passion. Creative stuff is my passion. And so I think what would be useful to know, I'm gonna do something actually that is really against what we've been taught in coaching. I'm going to ask a double-headed question. Yes, I love being naughty. So what does the concept of online marketing encompass, and what does it include in terms of what you offer to coaches?
So it's a really broad subject, actually. There's so much online. So if we're talking about everything, we're talking about branding, websites, social media, content creation. Obviously, AI is a big topic right now. But what I cover myself, so I am really into AI right now. The impact of it on what I can do is massive, and I'm still learning, and it really excites me. But with that, what I can actually do is sort of help with a bit of branding. So for coaches, it's quite a saturated market, and it can be quite difficult to stand out. And with AI, what we can do is we can create a bit of a character for you. so that you feel different, but you can still get your message across. Now, through that, we can then work out how to talk to your niche and create a website. And then you've got like the foundation for like social media, newsletters, all of those things that you know you should have as a coach, but you might not know where to start. So I think that's sort of a good overview of what I'm looking at. There's quite a lot there. It sounds really complicated, but it's not once we get talking about it.
Yeah, there is a lot there. And actually, as you were starting to mention all the things that as coaches we're taught we need to have in order to promote our business, I could feel the anxiety building in me. And then you said AI, and I thought, ah, yes, there's the thing, there's the thing. So, what would you say are your particular successes in relation to online marketing for coaches, Katie?
Do you know what? What I would say is I'm just starting out. So what I'm doing currently is building up my portfolio. So my success so far is actually just having the courage to start, to put myself out there. Because previously I've always kind of been a bit of a perfectionist and I've kind of held myself back. So right now I'm in this space where I'm just going to do it. And I kind of want to give people the same, inspiration just to do it. And we can kind of do that together. So, am I the best person out there? Maybe not. Am I going to be practicing at it? Yes. And will we be moving at the same speed? Yes. Right. No one's perfect when they start out. And I think a lot of what I'm going to be doing is a lot of coaches kind of see these big coaches that have got perfect marketing. You get all of the emails, they're like, do this course. But the thing is those coaches started out somewhere, and they didn't have all of that stuff. And the big marketing machine that you see is the result of lots of trying and testing. And also they've got lots of people helping them out with it. It's not just them doing it. So when you first start out, I think it's really easy to kind of compare yourself to other people. And I kind of just want to sort of take that away and just say, look, this is what you're doing. This is what's within your remit right now. This is what's within my remit right now, and go from there. I'm hoping it gives people a little bit of comfort.
Mm. I think I love that phrase that you said. My success is my courage to start. For me, that feels very relatable, and I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who will love to connect with that idea and that courage. Um, it reminded me too that you inspired me, Katie, in relation to this podcast, because I remember you saying to me, people don't want plastic, they don't want overproduced, they want to see authentic. And that made me relax and just think, yeah, I can just start it and just be me in the podcast. So yeah, you've already had an impact, you've already had success.
I love that. That's so nice. I think authenticity really is key. So it's a bit of a weird juxtaposition, to be honest, because obviously I'm working with AI. And there's a lot of falseness out there. So I'm quite careful with AI. So, I'll always say I've used AI. The images that I produce of myself are obviously AI. And they show like the best version of yourself, but that doesn't mean that behind that you can't be authentic, right? So I think it's just how you use it. But I'm so pleased. That makes me really happy.
Good, good. And also thinking about I learned really recently about how to use prompts that enable AI to know how you speak, what your style is, how you present, what your values and beliefs are behind what you're saying, so that it can emulate that to an extent. But yeah, I agree with you. We just have to be careful that we make sure it truly represents who we are. Um, so the relevance for coaches and trainee coaches listening and watching, what would you say are the top things that they need to know about online marketing?
Um, so I had a list of 5 things, and they're not necessarily to do with marketing, all of them. So my top one is let go of perfection.
Uh-huh.
So for a long time, and I touched on this at the beginning of the conversation, I have not put myself out there because I wanted everything to be perfect. And I think a little bit of that is like fear of what people think. Now, the reality is that you can't please everybody. And also, if you're waiting for perfect, then when are you ever going to be ready? You can kind of learn as you go along, and actually, that's sort of part of the journey. So the next thing I have is keep it simple. So we're looking at other people they're doing all of these amazing things. It looks really complicated, but let's keep it really simple for ourselves so that we can manage it. Because when things become like overwhelming, it's really difficult to continue doing it. And one of the key things with this is consistency. So my next one, this is a marketing one, is nail your niche. So when you're starting out as a coach, obviously you're trying to get as much experience as you possibly can with various different people. And we kind of go to let's talk to everybody. Now, the problem with talking to everybody is it's really difficult to connect with people on that level that we need to connect with them as coaches. So, whilst I would say what you need to do is decide who you want to help, how you want to help them, and then use that to talk to people. Now, it doesn't mean you can't coach people that aren't within that niche, but once you've got that niche, you can start to talk about it over and over and over again. And the more people hear you talk about it, the more you sound like you're an expert, because you are. You'll also have then examples of people that you've helped that have had similar situations. And we were talking about like that familiarity. It feels really relatable. It feels relatable because it's personal to you. So this is why we need the niche, okay? It just doesn't work when you talk to everybody. So my next one is engage with people. So social media is obviously all about talking and connecting and things like that. And I think sometimes what we forget to do on social media is actually engage with other content. Now, you can be really deliberate about this. So if you know your niche, there will be someone out there that is similar to your niche. And you can go onto their pages and you can find people and you can comment on their comments, you can comment on their posts. But make it meaningful, as if you were going to talk to them in person, rather than just like, an emoji or something like that. When you do this, what happens is your content will start to show up on their feeds. Now, because that content is similar to what they're already looking at, it's very likely they're going to engage. And this will give you the opportunity to, again, start conversation, engage, and just be genuine. Show the knowledge that you have in the field where it's relevant. Nobody wants anyone to go onto their page and be like, buy my thing. Yeah, can you buy my thing? It's really annoying. And then I've got the last one is be yourself. So it's really easy to get bogged down in what we should be as coaches. This person does this person does that. But actually, your unique selling point is that you are the only person that can do what you can do in the way that you can do it. And I think this is something that I got bogged down with in the perfectionism and, what do people want? And actually, it's much nicer working with people that kind of connect with you in what you're doing and much more authentic as well. And it feels nicer as well. So yeah, I think that kind of covers everything. There's quite a lot there.
There's a lot there, but as you were talking through it, I was thinking there's so many factors of your approach that I think are of such appeal to people who are struggling to get started. And there's something in it about what you're saying, just be yourself. And you're being yourself in the way that you're setting up this work, this getting started with online marketing. It really comes across very strongly, Katie. So moving now to problems with online marketing, what is it in your view that coaches find most hard with it, and what do you offer to help?
So I think coaching is quite a saturated market, and I think one of the hardest things is to stand out. So I mean, I do a lot of character stuff with AI. So for example, if you were a coach and you were kind of spiritual, we could base your marketing on like a fantasy theme rather than a typical coaching website. And people will be drawn to this because, it feels kind of magical. And then you can sort of start to tell your story, but you can do this through more exciting kind of imagery. Now, there's nothing wrong with regular coaching imagery, but what happens is it doesn't necessarily highlight your personality. So you can have that regular coaching imagery, but we can give it a little bit of a hint of you. So if you were into something like, I don't know, you had like a rebel Snow White kind of theme in your head and it kind of fit with your coaching theme, we could kind of bring that together. And this is what's so exciting about AI. But the other thing I think, so having the confidence to put yourself out there, I mean, that's a massive thing. So people think, I need perfect images, I need perfect wording. And it's not necessarily true. And I think AI is really great because if you're not feeling that confident, what you can kind of put together, and I mentioned this earlier, is like that best version of yourself. How do you want to look in a picture? What do you want people to think? Now, obviously, when you start talking to people, they're going to see that you don't look exactly like your AI images. But when we're marketing, it's okay to put that best foot forward. That's, how we get people to, buy into it. So yeah, I think one of the other things is getting clear on your mission and what you're doing. So this relates to like your niche. Be really clear, like be really niche so that you can become an expert in what you're doing. So all of the things that we've kind of discussed, this is what I'll help with. We'll do this through talking. I create mood boards. So if you've got a really wacky idea, I can get it down onto a mood board for you, and we can see if you like it. We can see if it kind of fits with your market. If it doesn't, no problem. We can, go back to what we think is going to fit. It's just a really fun process. I love it.
Brilliant. I love the way in which there are so many options,
Yeah.
and almost the world is your oyster. And what you were saying about, we we wait because we're waiting for perfection. It reminded me that I still got to find that picture to send to you so that you can do me an avatar photo. And yeah, I felt it as soon as you're saying. I was thinking, yeah, I know what's holding me back. I'm looking for that perfect one. So yeah, good message there. Okay. So in terms of how we can develop ourselves, what resources are out there for coaches, Katie, and what resources have you got that you can share? Because I'm really quite keen to share a link on our episode description to show people the kind of things that you put together because they are amazing. But tell us a bit about them.
So I mean, I use AI quite a lot. And I've spent quite a lot of time looking at YouTube videos. I'm actually currently doing a course to kind of bring everything together, so everything's a bit more formalized. I would say just be curious. I mean, if you are starting out on AI, YouTube is a great place to start. I can start sharing some prompts if people want them for how to get the best out of ChatGPT when you're looking to work out what your niche is. But I think the biggest thing was, just experimenting. ChatGPT is great. You can talk to it like it's a human. It's a bit scary sometimes. I think you'll have had experience with this because we've spoken about it before. And like you say, knowing what to write and how, a lot of this you can find online. And actually, you can ask ChatGPT this as well. The images I create, a lot of trial and error again, but I'm happy to sort of help with prompting. And yeah, definitely share some images. If people are, wanting to follow my journey, because I am building up my portfolio right now, my Instagram is a great place to find all of my work. So I'm at rebel.pixel, sorry. And I'm literally just going to be sharing my journey, sharing my work. If anybody would like AI images creating, they can just DM me on there and I can start creating for them. I will also be doing websites very soon, working on a pay-as-you-go basis. So if anyone is looking to get started, now's a really good time to get in. Because yeah, like I say, building my portfolio at the minute, I'll be looking for testimonials and yeah, pay as you feel rather than what will be, my eventual pricing. So let's see.
Yes, get in quick while the going's good. Yes. Now that's interesting what you said there because it had my mind going round in circles. I was thinking, my goodness, I could be asking AI how best to get the most out of AI.
Yeah,
That's random, isn't it? Yeah,
yeah.
brilliant. Okay, so just a reminder then, if you didn't catch that, Katie's on Insta at rebel.pixel. That's where you can see a lot of her work. But yeah, get in contact. We'll make sure all of the details are on the episode description. And like Katie says, now is the time. So Katie, we've come to the end of our time. Massive thank you, Katie Groombridge, for being exceptional on this exceptional episode of 2020 Coaching Convos. Thank you so much.